Is that voice in your head your intuition talking to you, or is it fear? So there's a few key ways that you can tell the difference. One of the biggest differences is that for the vast majority of the time, fear is going to come from worrying about something that happened in the past or imagining a catastrophic outcome in the future. On the other hand, intuition arises in the present moment, seemingly out of the blue. So, for those of you guys who don't know me, hi, my name's Erin. Welcome to What a Witch Knows. Today, we're getting into how to tell the difference between intuition and fear. As a witch, I've spent a lot of time learning to listen to my intuition, and I share a lot of teaching content about intuition here on the channel. So, if you haven't already, I'd love to have you subscribe so you can be alerted when I upload new videos. So, your intuition is the voice of your higher self, the part of you that's connected to the vast interconnected web of energy and consciousness that witches know as spirit. But it can be hard to discern the voice of your intuition from other messages in your head that come from the social matrix. So, all those years of programming that tell you that you need to act a certain way to be safe or to receive love or to be successful. So, fear is one of those voices from the social matrix, as are anxiety and ego. And I've already done teaching videos on how to tell the difference between intuition and anxiety and intuition and ego. So, you can find all of that linked in the description box below. So, witches know that we want to be living our lives based on our own intuitive guidance because that makes us inherently authentic and powerful. Witches follow our intuition, we don't follow the rules. Living your life, though, based on fear or the other messages like anxiety or ego can be really dangerous because the people who are in power right now know that they can use that to control you. In the worst case scenarios, people who are totally controlled by fear can use that fear as an excuse to hurt other people and even decimate entire communities, as we're seeing happening in the world right now. So it's really important to learn to recognize fear messages and to make sure that you're not falling into their trap. So fear is really concerned with keeping you safe. It's from that very primal part of our brains that feels the need to survive. Now, there are circumstances, say someone comes up to you and points a gun at you. Of course, fear is warranted in that situation. But I would say in the majority of cases, when we're talking about fear messages in your head, a lot of those are either based on something that happened to you in the past or something that you're concerned is going to happen in the future. Say you were rejected in a romantic relationship and now you're afraid to be in a romantic relationship at all because you're worried you'll be rejected again. Or, you're imagining a worst case scenario where something bad will happen in the future. Say you're imagining that you're going to fall and break your ankle if you go out on a hike, so you never go out on hikes. So what starts to happen is that the fear is either making you live in the past or it's making you worried about the future. And that starts to constrict your actions. You don't do things because of the fear. But in reality, you have no way of knowing, if any of these imagined scenarios will happen or happen again. It's just your survival mind trying to keep you safe. Intuition is not going to be worried about what happened yesterday or what's happening tomorrow. It usually arises when that monkey mind, survival brain, quiets down a bit. Say it's occupied because you're driving and your mind can wander a bit into that light trance state. Or you're in the shower, working with water is a great way to follow your intuition. And you get that intuitive hit, an idea comes to you or an aha moment seemingly surfaces out of nowhere. It just kind of gently falls into your awareness the way a leaf falls from a tree into your path. With intuition, you're receiving the message. It's coming to you. And with fear, you're forcing it. You're going to it by way of overthinking or catastrophizing. So another way to say that is that intuition is coming from your heart and fear is coming from your mind. Intuition will usually speak in a very simple action, telling you to do something like, oh, I should try that new coffee shop today. You won't have any idea why you're getting that message in the moment. You just have to trust it. You'll sometimes later get a confirmation like, oh, I met a new person at that coffee shop. That's why I was getting that intuitive hit to go, but not always. A lot of following your intuition is learning to trust yourself no matter what. And when you inherently trust yourself, you also know that you can handle any situation that arises. So there's really no need to live your life based on fear. Now, what's ironic here is that when you are in danger, it's actually your intuition that will kick in to keep you safe. That doesn't mean that you won't feel fear in the moment, but sometimes it will tell you not to do a certain thing. For example, don't go into work today. And you later find out that there was a car wreck on your way to work. But fear will have that sense of panic arise with it. So, like, you might start to breathe hard. You might start thinking, I'm going to die. With intuition, there is no panic attached to it. It will be a very clear, calm, and direct message like, don't go into work today. But you will have that strong sense of knowingness that you should follow what it's telling you to do. Intuition about danger is one of the 7 types of intuition that I talk about, and you can find that playlist linked below. So another key tell that if the message in your head is from fear, it will tell you there's not going to be enough. This is a very common fear scenario. So I'm not going to have enough money. I'm not going to have enough time. I'm not going to have enough love. Your intuition comes from the source of all that is, and that's a place of joy and creation and abundance. So it will never give you those messages that you need to hold on to something or control something or keep something in one place because you're worried about losing it. Intuition comes from a place of freedom, and it wants you to live your life to the fullest. So that means creating, trying new things, getting out there and enjoying life. It's the voice of your higher self, and it designed, that quote unquote highest timeline. It knows the reason you incarnated here on earth, and it's going to be constantly nudging you in that direction of abundance and joy, not constriction. Fear wants to keep you small, and your intuition wants you to be the most wild, creative, authentic version of you. It doesn't want you to shrink to meet others' expectations. And that's going to be an overlap with ego versus intuition, is that fear and ego can sometimes be both very concerned with what other people think. And intuition is not concerned with that at all. It just wants you to be you. So because intuition is an inherently receptive modality, you have to be open to receive it. And there's a few key ways that you can learn to do that. If you're looking for more information about how to follow your intuition, you can find those links down below as well. So thank you so much for listening, and please go ahead and subscribe so you can be alerted every time I upload new content about intuition.